guys, welcome back to the show. So today I just want to learn how to use React Spring. It's one of the things that I've been wanting to learn for a while, but I just, it just doesn't stick. I don't know. It's a bit, I don't know, man. I'm just trying to learn how to use React Spring and basically make animation in my React project. I already have I was building some components recently, and I'm just gonna use this project as well. And I've created a component called React Spring. So I've already installed like React Spring on my thing, and yeah, I'm ready to play with it and see how to use it, and hopefully I can make sense of it today. So if you want to install it, like you want to follow along and play with it as well, you might first have to install it. npm install React Spring. I'm using Yarn, so I use Yarn. People are saying it's really good. Like you've got, Dan Abramov. All these guys are saying it's really good, but I just want to see how it is. So I won't be doing a lot of talking today because I'll be reading the documentation. I'll be talking to myself sometimes, to make sense of what is happening with what they're saying over here. So just bear with me, and yeah, let's learn together. Let's learn something together. What I'm gonna try and do is I'm gonna just create a div and then try and see how this works, just to make this and see how that will work. So import React from React. So const pass it to my div. So this is, let me export this. No. So I'll export this React Spring component and let's return. Um, so let's just create what they're saying over here. So um, animated .div. It's called prop. It's called use Spring. Opacity is 1 from opacity is 0. Then we can pass this style. We can say style. Give it the props. All right. So this is what they're saying. But let's find out what this does. So it says first you fetch your import. So yeah, that's what I've done. You need the animation primitive itself and a special function. Mm. So basically, what they're saying is that the animated right here, right, is what helps your view to handle the animation. That's why we've got the animated.div. Like we have animated.div because it will help the view to handle this div. It will handle this div, this HTML element with the style that we've provided, which is basically the style that was provided by React Spring. So that is what it's doing, the animated thing is doing. It says next defining your spring. So the spring is the actual animation. Um, so use spring, it goes from 0 to opacity of 1. So use spring is basically an object. It takes in an object of opacity, which is 1, then from an object with key 1, and then another key called from, which is an opacity of 0. So that makes sense up to now. Um, okay, let's try and see how this thing works. Again, a spring. Animate value from one state to another. Yeah, you animate value from one state to another. So it moves from zero opacity to an opacity of one. Update accumulated string. Remember all the values you have passed. It says finally tie the animated value to the view. So we return this. Hmm. All right, let's see how this thing works. How I like to structure, how I like to structure React application is that um, I've got like I've got components, right? So I build all the components right here. So this, for instance, a bar components. Let me show you. I've got Storybook installed as well, so I can show you the components as well. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay. So this how okay. So basically, right, this is how I like to structure React applications. So I've got um, I've got I've got the component, right? As you can see, I've got a directory called component, and in there I've got like all the components that I want. So for instance, I've got something like bar, right? I've got nav, I've got something like that. And I've got like a search form, basically, stuff like this. So I've got all the components here. And instead of components, I use like CSS modules. So I've got like bar.module.scss. I've got the s- storybook, which lets me see all the components that I built, the individual components, rather than having to bring them all together in order to visualize them. So I like to be able to visualize what I'm building. Then I've got like the actual React components right here. So let me get rid of this. Um, so I've got that as well, and I've got icons that I like to use as well, and yeah, that's how I structure the components. Okay. Then I have something called pages. Okay. Now, pages is when I bring like all the components that I want to form a page. So, for instance, I've created something like um, a post page. So it's like just a page. I don't know. I just was playing around with something. So I've got something like a post page. You have like, I bring all the different components that I want from here. Right? I bring them together to form the page that I want to create. That is the post page. Then I've got so basically I'll end up having lots of pages, and those pages will go on to become the different routes on the sites that I want to build. So I've got like the post page. I'll have something like a search page. I'll have um, a login page or a logout page. Like, if you get the gist of what I'm trying to go about it. So that's how I like to create, structure. So I've got components, I've got icons, which are all the icons that I'll use. I've got pages, which is when I bring all the components together to create a page. Then I've got styles, which are the themes and the styles that, are common to all the different components and all the different pages. So over here, I can see I'm importing Google Fonts, and I've got like variables that I use for a lot of components just to keep my code dry and not repeat myself. Uncle Bob will say. And then, I've got, yeah, this is what React gives me, but I don't really need it. I can delete it, but I can't be bothered to do that right now. And yeah, that's how I bring everything together. And I think that is a good way to structure applications. And what I could do better is instead of like the page. So I could have like a request page. So if I'm making requests or making calls as to external APIs, I could have like a directory call like requests. So that instead of so let me show you. And guys, don't follow this one. This is bad practice to hard code a URL in here. I just did this because this is, I don't know, JSON placeholder. I was just playing around with something. So it's just JSON placeholder. So I thought I would just paste it here. But usually, if you got like external URLs or something, you can have like a .env file where you have all the, I don't know, URLs, your keys and everything in there, or stuff that, you don't want to be public. You don't want to hard code these values in your actual code, because if you post it on GitHub or Bitbucket or whatever, You don't want people to see, your keys, but this is like public and available everywhere. That's why I hard coded this in there. So don't judge me. I don't even care if you judge me. So that's fine. Um, so and over here as well, instead of like making the actual like fetch request right here, I could basically create a function that can pass in the URL and then it would do everything for me rather than having to create all that thing in here. But that is fine. So let's go back. So that's how basically I structure React components, like my React application. Obviously, this is just a simple thing that I've been playing around with, but for very complex projects, you need to really structure them really well to make everything work properly. Okay, let's go back to what this is. So I'll create a page. Okay, so let's create a page right here. Um, so let me create a page. Let me call this React Spring page. No, let me call it, yeah, React Spring page. Okay, and in here I'll create my React Spring .txx. Can import React from React. And I need to import the components that I want. So I import um, what do I need to import? I need to import the React Spring components. Yeah, I need to import the React Spring component. So this component from, it's not there. Where is it? React Spring. Um, Hold on. So where am I? I'm in here. Okay, so let me close this bit. Oh, okay. So to this, components, React Spring, and that. Okay. So I can now create the page. So cost React Spring page. So we have function components. I'm not passing in any props. So return. So this is basically saying using the React fragment. So that's what I'm doing. Okay, so I can say export whatever this is. So basically, this if you don't know what that is, this sign over here is basically the same as saying React the fragment. And what that does is that it doesn't give you an extra div basically on, like, basically this is not wrapping the div, it's just wrapping whatever this is, like just one div and not multiple divs. So let me go back to this one. So I can go back now to the app. Okay. No, this is a long process, but I think, it is like once you get the structure right and how to structure it properly, It's much better. You can do whatever you want, and your code is your project is easier to maintain. Code is easier to maintain. Everything is well packaged, well organized, and it's much better. So I will import the React theme page. So I'll call it um, React Spring. So I'm going to import this page. So React Spring page from page React Spring and that. Now we'll render this page. So that is the beauty of it. Yep. So if I do start it now, if I do run, um, it's a lot of logs. If I do yarn start, oops. Okay, let's see what it says. Ah, I'll fade away. It didn't fade away. What? Did it fade away? It didn't fade away. That didn't fade away. Um, which means something is not working properly because it's not fading away. So let's figure out what is going on. What is going on? So style, props, animated.div. Or do I have to render this like straight away? Hmm. So what if, okay, let me just give this a color because let's call it React Spring module SCSS. Um, there is something going on that I don't even know what's it. So React Spring, I can go in here and I can do import. What I need to import is I need to import styles uh, from React Spring. So from where am I? That's React Spring dot module dot SCSS. Cannot find module dot React Spring. What? Okay, so I can now hmm, how do I even give it a color now that okay, let me give it a class name. So let's say background. Um, there's something weird going on. Dot div, dot React Spring, let me call it. Let me make the background color red. So let me give it a class name. Okay, and the class name will be styles. Um, and that'll be the name of this. So we got Spring. Okay, so it's not fading away. So the question is, why isn't it fading away? Because that's what this is saying, that it will fade away. If it's not fading away, then it means that there's something wrong. I've done something not right. Uh, hmm. All right, let's find out what. So, okay, let me try something. Import. Let me try this. Import. Use Spring. From React Spring. And let me just say, Dave, hello, the show. Animated. And let me give it a props. It has to be used Spring. Opacity. Can go to 1 from opacity 0. Let's pass it a style. Props. Now, let's see what this. What? Am I blind or is this not working? It says I'll fade away, but this is not fading away. This is the thing is still being shown, right? Okay, so let's see what this is. This is exactly what I've done. Import uSpring animated from uSpring. Props uSpring opacity 1 from opacity 0. Animated with div style. Props. Oh, I'll fade in. Oh, I thought you said I'll fade away. Okay, so if I do 0 to 1, okay, it does work. Okay, okay, it does work. It works. It works. It works. It works. So if I do the same thing for this one, so 1, okay, this makes a lot of sense. So I got a bit confused because it said I will fade away. Um, do close tab. Yeah, I got a little bit confused because I thought it said so I confused myself. It's I'll fade in, not I'll fade away. This has to be 0 and that has to be 1. Okay, so we got the basics down. Let me give it a nice pattern. Let this be cool. So that is how a simple you can use like you can make use of a simple React Spring. Now let's get a bit into what this is. So it says that for React components, you can do animated donuts, animated and pass it to donuts. Um, okay. So if you want to use target, is the work then animated contains all the valid HTML. If you want to animate React components, styled components, or elements on other platform, then do this. So if you want to animate a styled component, I should use. How can you tell me I should just use this just like that? What does this mean? So opacity from 0 to 1. That's animated or SVG. That's number. So they're telling me I could use all of these. Is that what they're telling me? So if I do come over here, let's try this out. So this what I did. Let's try and use this. Let's try and use this. So and what is a number? Number is a prop. It says prop the number. Hold on. Okay. Did you see that? So it went from 0 to 1. That's dope. That is dope. So it went from a number from 0 to 1. Let's go from a 0 to 1,000. Ooh, 0 to 100. Ooh, that is dope. That is dope. That is dope. So you can pass it a number from 0 to whatever you want, and then you can render that as a prop. What if you want to change this value? What if you want to dynamically pass this value to it? So, hmm. So can I say, okay, let me try use state. So, let me do number. Let me pass it now. Mm, for random number set random number. I can pass in this number. Oh, yes. So basically, it's just like you can configure it to whatever you want. That is dope. If I have a button over here, let's say, okay, just click me. Um, let's create function called handle click. Be a function that when you click on it, handle click, it's an event. Just of type HTML. What type would it be? HTML, click. Okay. But this time we return void. Because what I want to do is that when I click on this, I want to set random number to the random number plus 10. And click. Oops. Hmm. Okay, what I can do is that I can have like span and then log out what this random number is, the value of the random number. Okay, so it doesn't work. When I click on it, let's see. Okay, the type event of HTML bottom element. It's not assignable to type event. Mouse event. What? It's HTML button element, right? It doesn't make sense. Let's see. Type event mouse is not assignable to event, mouse event, HTML button event. Yeah, so what are you talking about? Sorry. It's HTML button element. Hmm. I don't understand what this is. So if I do take this out, let me just try something. If I take this out, oh, it does change. So that is cool. That is dope. I increase it by 10. So let me see what this is. Can I not see what type this is? It's a mouse event handler of a certain type. This doesn't make sense. I still don't know. Let's find out what this is. So, mm, it's React.html elements. So, if I say on click, it takes in an event. Mouse event of type. Mouse event is not generic. Oh, it's an interface. So what type of event does it take that I did not? Okay, what I'm gonna do is let me have a look at React.mouse event HTML input element. So okay, so that was the problem. I was leaving out the React.mouse event HTML button element. Now this is dope. Hmm, Interesting. And they've got like a scroll as well. Scroll, you go from 0 to 100. Animated div, scroll top, and they've got that as well, which is great. Okay, so we've learned how to do the basics, how to basically use use Spring. You could go on to see what this common API is. So use Spring, the duration, mass, tension. Hmm, this is so cool. Preset, you can basically configure it to whatever you want. Got use Spring is which is used for. You can use it to move lots of things, just not just one. Import use Spring animated. Okay. Use Spring's number items, the map items. Okay. Yeah. So basically, what the use Spring does is that so use Spring is used to just move one item. It's used to animate just one thing, and use Springs is used to animate lots of things. As you can see, use Springs, you give it number, and then you loop through the items, whatever things that you want to loop through, and each item will have an opacity and an item dot opacity. So which is really cool. I think what I need to do is play around with this. Oh, this is so cool. So cool. I need to basically play around with this and see how it really works. I've already been here for for a long time. So I will end this here, but the I think what we can take out from this is um, how to basically structure a React component and make it very easy to maintain projects. And we learn the basics of how to use React Spring. Yeah, the use Spring, which is cool. I'll go on to do a bit more and find out how to use the other ones and how to animate styled components. But thank you guys for watching, and if you enjoy these type of videos, let me know, and see you next time.